And right now you can get
What's going on, TTC?
2016 models.
Hold
The
on.
best way to celebrate the new year is
Get a
in
right
your
turn
new
right
Honda.
down here. Alright, and we're on the highway. Turn this radio down. What's up, TTC? Proper English. It's Friday. It's Blue Friday. TGIBF. Got about 48 hours till we take out the Panthers. And we still got these silly Panther fans saying the most. It's just, it's redundancy. It's the same stuff over and over again. You know, quite often, the teams that we hate week against, the video makers for these teams, they don't really have a lot to say about the team itself. They don't have a lot to say about why they're going to win. They don't. The first and sometimes the only thing they have to say in their video or in their trash talk or whatever it is, the only thing they have to say is about the fan base. It always goes back to fan base talk. Now in this case, we have a video maker who actually had a bit to say about both. Panthers Media 07. NFL Panthers Media, or 07 Media, however you say it. He made another video and he's talking his crazy stuff. He's talking his crazy stuff. Listen, bro, you didn't beat our ass as you suggest in your video. If anything, a more accurate statement would be that you barely won. And I'm not even trying to say that barely won versus, you know, kicking the ass really matters, because all that matters is the W or the L. But don't come up on your video talking about you whooped somebody's ass last time you played them, because you just barely escaped with a victory. Kind of similar to the way we just barely escaped with a victory last weekend against Minnesota. You just barely won. But our win isn't legit. Our win is not legit to these folks because Blair Walsh missed a kick. But what does that have to do with anything? Why do people want to discount the reality that Blair Walsh missing a kick only matters because we had the lead? We had the lead. We had to do what we had to do to get the lead. So to say that we don't deserve it because we got lucky, this luck bullshit is retarded. It's not luck. We were losing, and then we weren't losing. We were losing at one point, and then we were winning. And we won because they didn't do what they had to do to go down and take the lead back. Very similar to the Seattle-Carolina game, where you were losing, and then you did what you had to do to get the lead, and we weren't able to do what we had to do to get the lead back. Stop talking about this fucking luck bullshit. Luck is fucking flipping a coin and having it land on heads 4 times in a row. That's luck. Russell Wilson having the snap go past his head and him having the wherewithal to turn around, finish putting his mouthpiece in while he's chasing the ball down, pick it up, and while he's picking it up, look over his shoulder and see that he has room to get up and run, and doing so, and while doing all those things, tossing the ball downfield to a wide open receiver, that's not luck. Panthers Media, that is all skill. How the hell is that luck? The defense didn't quit on the play. When the defense saw that the ball was fumbled, they did what they normally do. They hit the receivers. If you just look at the game, watch the replay. You're probably saying what you say because you just don't watch it the way we watch it as fans of the teams in the game. I don't know if it was Harrison Smith or who it was, but when that ball got fumbled, the first thing that those guys did was try to put the biggest hit they could on those receivers. Because that's what you do when the ball gets fumbled. When there's a fumble, the receivers are no longer, what's the word? They're no longer protected players. You can go ahead and hit them like anybody else. There's no more illegal contact. So they put a hit on Lockett, but instead of knocking Lockett down or throwing him off of his whatever he was gonna do, he hit him, and then they all did what you people naturally do. What they naturally do is go chase after the ball. So they fucked up, and we took advantage of it. We made the best out of a bad situation. That's not luck. And Teddy Bridgewater outplaying Russell Wilson really is fucking bullshit. Teddy Bridgewater outplaying Russell Wilson really has nothing to do with nothing. And he didn't so much outplay him. He had what seemed like a little bit more success throwing the football, but just look at the numbers. He didn't really outplay him. He had a slightly better bit of success, it seemingly throwing the ball during the game. And it was only seemingly. Just look at the numbers. He didn't outplay Russell Wilson. And like you said, if football is a team sport, then that shouldn't matter anyway, because we outgained the Minnesota Vikings by double in the running game. That's why they won. All those passes from Teddy Bridgewater and Russell Wilson didn't really mean shit when it came down to it, because the running game was where the game was won and lost. And for you to suggest, Panthers media, that the cold shouldn't have anything to do with anything, that's just nonsensical speak, bro. That's nonsensical speak. Football weather? That's football weather? Sub-0 degree temperatures is not anything weather, bro. Yeah, football games have been played in that temperature and lower. But there's a reason why it was the third coldest game ever in the NFL history. The third coldest game ever. So if you just sit there and say, oh, Seahawks are making excuses, that's football weather, that's just dumb. That's just dumb, bro. And then you say it's gonna be 40 degrees in Carolina, like you're comparing the two. Like you're comparing 40-something degrees to sub-0. Are you kidding? You want to talk about how the Seahawk fans just don't really speak truth. They just try to argue points that help their argument. You're doing neither one. You're just saying silly stuff. Now your boys in the Carolina Panthers camp on TTC, they all suggest the same notion that you guys don't pick your schedule, and neither do we. Nor do we pick the timing in the scheduling, when we actually play these teams. So for you to tell us that we're not good because we played this team at this point, we played Dallas Cowboys when they had somebody else, we played this team when they had somebody, well, hey, whatever, that's the way the cookie crumbled. That's the way the cookie crumbled. But you want to talk about facts, since you're so into facts. The facts are The Seattle team that you played in week 6, I believe, was indeed a completely different team than we are right now. And not simply because then we had Marshawn, then we had Jimmy Graham, then we had Ricardo Lockett. Because obviously, it doesn't take any rocket surgery to realize that we have been better without all 3 of those guys. Not saying that they were hindering our play, but the last 6 weeks of the season, we have been nearly, I mean, it would be safe to call us an offensive force. It'd be safe to call us an offensive force the last 6 weeks of the season. So, Panthers media, I see that you're from Washington. That's cool. Good for you. But listen, you're like it's like what's the boy? Eagle Speed. Eagle Speed, another one, who just likes to talk about how bad the Seattle Seahawks fan base is because he's right there with them. Now, Panthers media, you don't seem like you are that old. I don't know how old you are, but just by looking at you and listening to you, you seem like you might be a little bit younger than me. So you, I imagine, weren't really there for Seahawk football in its heyday, or its, more of its heyday. Are you gonna fucking get over or what? Oh, you don't even know your drinkers on, you idiot. You were there like a person like myself, a native to the Seattle area, Bremerton to be exact, who has season tickets. I'm a former season ticket holder in the Kingdom. All right, I know what Seattle fanhood is all about. Trust me, the Seattle fan base has always been there. Now it's true, just like with any other fan base, with the recent success, the boom of Seahawk Mania is very real. I went home last Christmas for the first time in 10 years, and it looked like a gigantic Seahawk just threw up all over the cities. From Seattle to Bremerton to Silverdale to Port Orchard to everywhere. Auburn, Tukwila, SeaTac, everywhere that I visited. Tacoma, everywhere that I visited, it looked like it was just a Seahawk. A Seahawk took about, a giant Seahawk ate about 10 Alka-Seltzers and just fucking blew up everywhere. It's true. But how is that in any way different than any other city with any other team that has recent success? It's not. I live in San Diego, where when the Chargers win a few games, you see pink Phillip Rivers jerseys on these girls walking around. It's Chargers everywhere. Then they lose a game or two and it all goes away. Now, in this case, Charger fans actually are kind of shitty, but any city that has success, especially great success over a long period of time, especially great success. It isn't that Seattle won a few games, made the playoffs, and got knocked out. No, they made a run that looked like the Super Bowl. They made a Super Bowl run. They made another Super Bowl run, and now they're back in the playoffs. A division round, 2 Super Bowl trips, and now another division round. That will get even the lamest fan excited. It's not uncommon for any fan base. So the Seattle Seahawks fan base is as real as it gets. So miss me with that. That argument, that whole subject really should be rendered moot. Find something else to talk about. Find something else to talk about in your videos. Your 480-yard drive, you say that when we tell you won on a busted play last time, well, you want to talk about facts. Well, that's a fact. That is a fact. Your argument, okay? Your argument toward that is, well, what about the 4 80-yard drives it took? Well, I gave you in my previous video, I gave you the credit. I gave you your credit for your comeback. Your comeback was good. You guys made a hell of a comeback. But remember, you had to come back. So again, you didn't whoop nobody's ass, bro. You guys had to come back. And the play that ended up being your game winner was a busted play. It just was. I didn't make it up. It's very obvious. Just look at, you can find the play on YouTube. It was a busted play. 2 players looked at each other and said, I thought you had him. I thought you had him. That's called a busted play. I'm at work. I've been bitching too long. Fuck the fucking Panthers. Go Hawks.